Well, welcome back to Gabbing Geek, your now almost back to being weekly podcast slash blabcast slash vidcast, wherever you're watching us, a geeky podcast about all things geeky. We like to talk about movies and TV and fantasy and science fiction and board games and video games and comic books and everything that you can think of that's awesome and geeky. This is episode 61, or as we're going to call it, Geek Recommendations. Because we're going to be recommending some things and talking about some things.
We've lost all of our originality.
No, we had 60 outstanding titles, and look what that got us. So we're going now with totally blah, Geek Recommendations. Here's what you got. But, hey, my name is Ryan Garcia, and with us, as always, is Jenny. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Newman.
Ha! True, because of pearly whites.
That's right. And also with us, as always, is William. 4 out of 5 proctologists recognize Watson.
Look, it's a specific fetish, okay? I mean,
it's
so
good to get that. And also with us is Tom, been in 4 of the last 5 podcasts. Kelly, how about that?
All right.
No, yeah. I'd like to first point out we could have gone with parks and recommendations.
Okay. No. Geek Recommendations. Sorry.
He's still not a beetle.
He's still not just a red herring.
He's still not a beetle. Hey, did you hear that?
He's still gunning for that VP of episode naming title, but it's not there quite yet. We'll get you there, though. All right, well, as we always like to start off our episodes with the geekiest news of the week, or GNO, where we talk about some geeky stuff that's going on in the Geekiverse. Mr. Watson, what you got for us this week?
So this is when it's good to be back as a weekly podcast, because
it's crazy.
As news breaks, we can fix it, right? I mean, so this week, got our first teaser trailer after some releases of some images of the new Doctor Strange movie coming out November 4th, right? Starring some obscure British actor that no one...
Simon Pegg. Mm-hmm.
Simon Pegg.
No.
Simon Pegg, right.
Oh,
as Doctor Strange.
Ricky Gervais, right. Go
No.
ahead.
So
Stephen Fry?
Graham Norton.
No.
No.
Mr. Bean.
Christoph Waltz?
No, so
he's British.
Hugh
He's
Laurie?
practically British.
that would be pretty good. That would be pretty good. So anyway, so the trailer, so the footage, the images that were released earlier, in the last couple of weeks, showed Benedict Cumberbatch in the full Doctor Strange costume, very comic booky. You know, it looked like Doctor Strange after a lot of complaints that people are in black spandex or, you know, they tried to make them less comic booky. That looked like Doctor Strange,
He
right?
looks
I mean,
amazing.
it looks
Oh, yeah.
bright red, blue, everything. But in the trailer, they really didn't show. They really just showed Benedict Cumberbatch it's a teaser, so it's really the origin. As Stephen Strange trying to learn his craft, and at the end they tease that he's in the cape, but it's in black silhouette, right? So really good trailer, had some kind of Inception sort of moments.
Yeah.
You know, so here's just kind of my first take, and then I'll pass it around to everybody else for reactions. You know, there's some good and there's some bad. The good is it seems this movie is going to be very faithful to Doctor Strange. The bad is the bad is I don't like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
You know,
You don't read Watson, so come on.
no, but I mean, like I never liked Doctor Strange, right? I mean,
Why?
it's
fantasy.
and I will tell you, there was one horrible sin in this trailer, is the quote, "Forget everything you think you know." That is some of the worst dialogue you could possibly have in anything. All right, Jenny, I know you are a strong supporter. You are a Cumbersnatch.
Yep, pretty much.
Can
you say that on television? How about Cumber Bitches?
Here comes the black police. They're coming after us now.
I don't like to identify myself as a snatch or a bitch. So at this point in time, I'm just a Cumberbatch lover. Dude, it was awesome. I'm super excited about this movie. I was really worried when they first announced it. I didn't know, how, I love him, but I didn't know how they were going to pull everything off with the look and what he was going to do and how he was going to, act and whatever. But after seeing everything that came out, I'm super stoked about this world. This is going to be brand new for me. I mean, like you, Watson, I'm not worried about it because it's fantasy, because it's a comic. I'm more intrigued because I don't know the story of Doctor Strange. And I just saw it the other day at the comic book store, and I'm like, I feel like I should pick this up just to get some type of I don't know, foundation before I see the movie.
I don't think you need it.
I mean, I know I don't, because I didn't have a foundation for Ant-Man and it totally won me over, right? Marvel does movies really, really well, so I'm not worried about the movie in general. I'm super excited about it. It looks great. It looks crazy, right? There's all this type of weird magic stuff, and weird magic stuff hasn't really happened in Marvel. It's been based kind of in real world, if you will. So pulling in that fantasy element is really exciting. They get to explore a whole new world. Oh, we lost Ryan. Did we lose? See you later, Ryan. All right.
Oh, wow. Do we keep
go ahead, Tom.
recording? Yeah, we're still recording. All right. Tom Kelly.
I was largely pleased with the teaser. I was a little surprised that Conrad's apparently using an American accent. Because
is he using an American accent? I didn't notice that. I didn't notice
it. New York. Yeah,
it didn't sound like his sort of usual classy British one. So, and I'm an American, so I'm a sucker for a British accent. You put someone with a British accent on, I automatically think they're smarter than me.
No, but in a different way, Tom Kelly.
Clearly, high luminary types that were competing for Doctor Strange, like Simon Pegg and Lily Penny Hill. So, yeah, I'm wondering how much they're going to go for the magic angle.
There was a lot of magic already. I mean, you can see it in the trailer. It's going to be magic heavy.
I think it's going to be heavy. I think it's going to be heavy.
No, let me explain. Are they going to actually call it magic, or are they going to say it's something else, like manipulation of quantum physics or something along those lines? Because they're going to probably make some kind of changes for the movie audience. They're going to simplify the audience. No, Doctor Strange isn't really all that complicated when you get right down to it. But like Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, they made Nebula Thanos' daughter as opposed to a crazy pirate who claims she's Thanos' granddaughter, and all kinds of other simplified Drax's story. There's a lot of simplification going on. You kind of have to do it for the audience. You don't have the ability to go read 20 years worth of backstory.
Is there 20 years worth of Doctor Strange backstory?
While he's not here. You should try that.
20? There's 60.
Hey,
right? Hey, it's Ryan. He's back.
About?
Okay, all right.
We're still on Doctor Strange. Still on Doctor Strange.
Okay.
We had all agreed that the next person to come in has to watch Clue 6 times.
So Jimmy, come on in.
To your point though, they haven't soft-sold the gods, right? Soft-sold the gods, right?
Well, yes, they have. They made the gods aliens.
Not really. Like Asgard is not really aliens. It's a whole nother world. And they say that the 9 realms are there. And they talk about
Jenny doesn't understand outer space. You just defined an alien and said, no, they're not aliens. They're just people from another planet.
Come on, you know what I mean. It's a whole other...
Hold on. Jenny, are you laying like on your stomach on your bed?
I hope that's for sure. Those are her feet.
This is not my bed per se. It's my guest room. But yes, I am in my guest room on a bed.
Jenny, we could charge money for this. There's fetishes.
Wait, I sweatshirt.
Right? Okay, all right, Ryan. We had all kind of talked about ours. I'm sure you're going to say exactly what we said since you got it kicked off. But what's your opinion of the Doctor Strange trailer?
It's delivering so far on what we expect. I'm putting this squarely in the realm of Ant-Man, right? We were expecting comedy out of the Ant-Man trailer, and that's what we got. We got some comedy. We were expecting surreal, magical kind of stuff out of Doctor Strange. That's exactly what we've got. So far, it's delivering on the notes. The problem is these are not very strong notes for a Marvel character. I mean, this has the potential of under-delivering on Ant-Man in terms of mass appeal. Look, all 4 of us are seeing it, right? I mean, that's not a problem. But in terms of how you sell this to the masses, this is probably the toughest sell that Marvel's going to have ever. And so I would love for it to succeed. I want it to be a great movie. I was especially happy as they were filming in New York when Benedict actually went to the comic book store in his Doctor Strange costume.
And
that was
held
a
up the
fantastic
comic.
moment. Yeah. What a great moment for all of them. But I want this to succeed. I'm just worried that it's not going to in terms of the mainstream. And I don't understand. Like, Benedict Cumberbatch is so good. Why is he not like the top star in anything yet? You know, he keeps kind of like being so good, but then the stuff kind of stumbles, and I'm just not.
He needs to be in Star Wars.
What stumbled?
Wouldn't that be amazing?
I know.
WikiLeaks.
Oh.
A little bit of a stumble.
Yeah, but
What about the Imitation Game?
Those are art house movies.
Imitation Game, yeah.
Imitation Game's a fine hit for what it was, and it got a lot of Oscar praise.
But
so, I
he
mean,
did a
like,
really
those
good
are
impression, and then lost to an impression of someone in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? Eddie Redmayne won. I didn't think Eddie Redmayne did a better job delivering. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch did a better one. He didn't connect, I guess, with the audience as well.
Hey, I have a question for you guys.
Top movie of the
do you
year,
think
so
the November
That's
time frame is going to hurt or help this movie? Because November, early November.
I would have put this one in October. I think this is kind of an October
31st?
sort of, because October is that one where you can take. That would not be bad. October's the one where you can take kind of like chances. It's not a Barry like August or September, but it's not up against the super November, releases. October, this felt like this could have been 1 month.
I like
early.
November only because it puts it in the time frame of there being a vacation. And so a lot of people taking that time to kind of see, okay, let's go see that new Marvel movie. It gives it the best chance, I think, of succeeding and crossing over. I'm just not sure if the material is going to be strong enough or interesting enough for it to do it. So I think it was the best play. Look, I mean, for us four, it wouldn't matter when it came out. Do you know what I mean? Like any month.
Yeah. No, we're not but we're not the people they need. They need to get people who go to see 5 movies a year to go that way. Yeah.
Well, hey, speaking of 5 movies, let's talk about our next story in the Gano category, which is thank you, which is the fact that there's always been news of Avatar sequels and second one and all of this, but it turns out that James Cameron has dropped a bombshell by saying that there's not going to be 1 more Avatar, not 2 more, but 4 more Avatar films coming out, and that he's going to be making them all together, and it's all going to be a big jumble, but that he has said that the first Avatar sequel will be in 2018, and then the subsequent movies will be in 2020, 2022, and 2023, because we're just not going to be able to wait 2 years for that final one.
And in the year 2525, if man is indeed still alive.
Great, now we have to get that license.
Quality future reference.
So, I don't know what
novelty song reference.
What do you guys think of the plans for 4 more Avatars? Forget 4 more years because it's an election year. We're talking 4 more Avatars.
No, 1 more Avatar is not necessary, let alone 4 more Avatars. I mean, the movie was okay from a cinematic standpoint of visual aspect, right? They did visual stunning graphics, but really from an actual movie standpoint, there was no plot. It was Fern Gully meets, I don't know, kittens in live action. It was just not good enough to deserve a sequel, a prequel, or anything of the sort. I mean, at this point in time, I don't understand why they think they need to do this at all. Period.
Yeah. Watson, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. I saw Avatar once in the theaters. I've never understood the appeal. I don't know why it's the biggest. I don't get James Cameron, right? I mean, I've said that before. I
love Titanic. That's about it.
I didn't like Titanic. I liked all of them. Like I was
18 when it came out, so of course I loved it.
But I mean, True Lies is my favorite James Cameron movie. Remember, right, guys? The one thing I think is cool is I was reading a little article on this, and it was like it talked about they were filming all 4 at the same time, and they said maybe one day they'll be filming a scene from the third one, the next day they'll be filming a scene from the first one, and they're doing it all together. And I think that's really kind of cool. I want to see the documentary of making these 4 movies much more than I want to see the movie. But here's one thing that they say they compared it to. I think this might have been Cameron. I don't know. Maybe it was one of the other producers. It's like doing all 3 Godfather films at the same time. And I thought, no.
You should have said 2.
This crap is like doing all of Sofia Coppola's scenes from Godfather 3 at the same time. It's going to suck that bad. I am not excited. Big thumbs down. I don't want to see another one of these. The first one was cinematically beautiful, but it was boring as hell. Done. Thank you. Now take that. Seriously. Tom, what do you think?
I still haven't seen the original Avatar. That's how little I am interested in Avatar.
Sad thing is I have to clean that up.
I was not kidding. My wife did not want to see it. When I finally saw part of an HBO, I thought, well, this is lame, and turned it off. James Cameron is not a good writer. I mean, when I was in college, I wanted to be a playwright, and I went and I listened to. I like movies with great dialogue. So like I listened to like The Usual Suspects. I was really big on for a while. That has like great sort of conversation. I listened to a James Cameron movie. It's with Jenny's Titanic. Like, I can see the Statue of Liberty. It's very, very far away. I'm the king of the world. Can I shove both those guys over the balcony? Okay.
I was
don't need to. They're dead. They're dead.
So he can make all he wants. I don't think I'm going to see any of them.
So I'm going to be the lone voice of reason here and say, you 3 are crazy. Because here's the thing. James Cameron, he doesn't do hugely original stuff when you think of the core concept of the story. But instead, he delivers on all of the notes. Look, yes, okay, Avatar, you could say it was a derivative of Dances with Wolves or Fern Gully. But none of those were alien worlds where you transported your brain into an alien brain and had cool 3D effects. And it had light up dandelion spores and all that. And it doesn't.
I used to transport my brain all the time when I played World of Warcraft.
No, Ryan, I have one word for you.
Okay, what's the one word? Plastics?
Unobtainium. I have one word for that. It's the least original thing. Unobtainium.
And I'm not saying he doesn't get a 10 out of 10 for originality. Instead, he gets a 10 out of 10 for making good movies. He makes movies that we want to watch. He makes movies that deliver. And you shake your head on it, but just look at his box office numbers.
Yes, he is the Michael Bay of big budget movies.
He makes it rain. That's good.
Where's your dollars?
I mean, Titanic was not only was Titanic a story we already knew kind of the bookends, we knew how it starts and how it ends. It also had in between a love story that we've seen several times before, and yet all of it put together became the #1 movie of all time, right? Obviously, he knows how to deliver a story that can connect with people. And here's the other thing. He did it with Avatar, with giant blue aliens in a 3D technology that had never been created before. He didn't connect just with geeks, and some of the geeks were like, oh, poo-poo, this is not original enough. But everyone else is going to watch this movie. That is awesome filmmaking talent when you can get everyone in the world to go see Avatar.
You're right. You're right, Ryan. Clearly, he has made a deal with the devil. He's clearly made a deal with the devil.
That's fine.
That's all I can say.
That's Hollywood. All right, 2 words. 2 words, Tom Kelly.
Successful. Crossover appeal, not very original, made a ton of money, so a lot of people saw it. Here are my 2 words. Jurassic World.
Ooh.
No one liked Jurassic World, though. They all went to saw it, but people liked Avatar, and people liked Titanic.
You can't do it again. You can't do it again, Ryan.
Look up the Rotten Tomatoes.
Sitting here wanting to see this
Look up the Rotten Tomatoes.
No. Listen. You did it once. He was able to pull people in because of that cinematic value of visuals.
3D.
But you cannot do it again. We've already seen this. It's already been done.
I agree that 3 will not be
you're
enough.
not giving us anything special because the story was already crap, and now you don't have visuals to rest your laurels on. And so what do you have? You have nothing now. All you have is this crappy story.
And here's where I'll disagree with that. Like, who knows what he's going to do with the story? I'm actually a little bit concerned that he's making 4 movies. I think just make 1 more. But what I am kind of interested in is because, okay, when he created Avatar, we thought that this was going to be the dawn of a new 3D generation, right? That this was going to finally usher in a world where movies made sense to be made in 3D. And you know what? They haven't. No movie has delivered on 3D since, except for potentially Gravity, right? That's probably the only one, and that's because it had
that is the only one.
Okay.
That is
It's like Star Wars in 3D is cool.
No, I saw it in 3D and regular, and it didn't matter. Like, none of them matter in 3D. But James Cameron,
gravity is important.
James Cameron will find a way to make 3D relevant again, even if it's just for his movie, even if he's the only one, because he did it for Avatar. Look, when he did it so long ago, and all these years, filmmakers haven't been able to figure it out since.
Ryan, here's the question. James Cameron, I mean, look, I'm not a huge fan, but I admit he's a great talent. People want to see it. Do you want to see him do 3 more movies of the same thing, or do you want to see him do something new, something different, something? I
mean, honestly, without this, I'm not sure if we would get 4 more movies out of him, because he's really dropped off on kind of the production. Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't need to. He's made so much money, and I think he's just kind of waiting for his muse.
2 movies since we were in college. That's it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So that gives them the right to be uncreative.
And they happen to be the 2 biggest movies of all time. You know.
Well, no, not a right, but I mean, well, yeah, he has a right to be uncreative. I mean, we all have that right. In fact, we exercise that right
choose
most of our days.
It all the time. Yeah.
So, I'd rather see if
you get props for that. You get props.
Well, Ryan, I'm sorry. I will not be recommending this movie to anyone. But speaking of recommendations,
wanting to get it back, it was close.
He's bringing it back. You know, good job. Good job.
I'm sorry. That one of the 5 movies though, that was beautiful. Ryan, I'm still going to give you another props on that.
So hey, for those of you that, like us, have been in the doldrums, which is the time period between Star Wars Episode 7 and Captain America: Civil War, there has been some geek content out there, but not a ton of stuff. So we thought, hey, here's a good time for us to all recommend some cool geek content for our fellow geeks to maybe read or watch or play or do whatever, because we have 2 weeks? 2 weeks and 2 days until Captain America: Civil War is finally here, and we're kicking off the summer season.
Getting great reviews.
Couple here and there, like 100%. So very nice.
Hey, Aaron, what's going on? How are you, buddy? Thanks for joining us.
So we are going to go around the horn and all recommend something geeky. Who wants to kick us off?
Ryan, start us off, man.
Right. I'm going to kick us off with something that just ended. So the good news is you can catch up on all of the stuff because you've got like a year until it comes back. And that is The Magicians Season 1 on Sci-Fi. This was awesome. I am a fan of the books, although I still haven't read the 3rd one because I've been trying to reread the first 2 before I get into the 3rd. But the first season of the show was absolutely fantastic. I thought that the change that they made from the books were absolutely perfect. Okay. The fact that they were bringing in story elements from the 1st and 2nd book, from the very first episode, they were just like, we're not going to worry about staying completely true to the books. We're going to make this an interesting story. And so they've made changes to the characters. They've made changes to the plot lines, and it is all awesome. It is a view of magic that we have never seen before on TV or movies. It totally works. The characters are fascinating. If you can watch 2 episodes of this and then say, I'm not interested anymore, then you're dead to me. You're dead. So go watch season 1, go catch up, because season 2 isn't going to come back until February. I'm very bitter that they did a short season, and hopefully they'll get a longer renewal, but I cannot wait for season 2. Season 1 was fantastic. That's what I got.
Oh, so Ryan, I never read the books, and it's been recommended to me over and over again by multiple people. But I did start watching
on this podcast.
On this podcast, yeah, that's true. But no, so I started watching, and I couldn't believe it. I completely agree with you. They have very interesting, complicated characters. They show a different type of magic. I love that they're intertwining a little bit of literary magic that's in there. All of this is really, really cool stuff. And ultimately, I mean, I was left going, what's going to happen for season 2? I was really hooked. They hooked me, and I didn't think that they were going to hook me. So bravo on Sci-Fi. That's the channel that it's on. Or excuse me, the network. Such a really, really good show. And I had no idea. So now I'm curious, because you said that you like the changes that they're making. Mm-hmm. I don't know what any of the changes are. So to me, this world, kind of like watching Walking Dead, this is the world that I know. I don't really know what's going on in the books, or what has or has not happened, or what's about to come. So I think you have a unique view of this.
I mean, a little bit, because I'm not sure what they're going to stay true to in the books. Like, in the books, they go through school very, very quickly. Like, they're out of school by halfway through book 1. So the fact that they've gone all the way through the first season, and they're not even done
many
with their
books are
first
there?
year at school. There's 3 books.
Okay.
So I'm curious to see what they're going to do, but they're jumping all around, so it doesn't matter. But this to be said, like, I think that you could still read the books, and you're not going to really spoil the TV show because who knows what they're going to include. Yeah, you know,
But are the main characters in the books that are on the show? Or did they add people?
Well, no, those are the people, but they definitely gave them different. They're different than they are in the books. So, and they made good changes in terms of that because Quentin is very, very whiny in the books.
Well,
I mean,
he's
just
very whiny on the show too.
No, I'm saying I've just seen the TV show, and I'm saying he's very whiny in the books. Like it's even worse than this. But it still kind of works in the show, and also in the books, there's a lot more drugs and alcohol and all that. I mean, there's enough.
Is there a lot of Fox making love?
Just love? One chapter. Yeah. There's
awesome.
There's a little furry action in there.
Furry action. Yeah, you guys interested now, Watson?
I've read the books.
Oh,
I've read 2 of them.
I didn't know that. Oh man! All right, I'm the only one.
Tom, have you read? Tom, you've read them?
All 3, yes.
All 3.
Actually.
What's that?
Okay, I shall. Yeah, I really like the books. I haven't seen the show, but the novels are pretty darn good. Taking a more adult look at the sort of the Harry Potter type story of a guy who finds out he can do magic and going off to school, but he's already kind of a grown up, so
dark. I think
he expects magic to make him happy and take him to his Narnia-like world that, as far as he knows, doesn't even really exist. But
what is it? Fillery and what?
Fillery, yes.
Yeah.
And just kind of pondering like what magic would be like for a grown-up, as opposed to a little boy trying to defeat the noseless wizard Hitler that killed his parents.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing that the books really get into more that they can't really do on a TV show because it's understandable. But the books really explore this notion of if you were actually a wizard, you would have no motivation to do anything. Right, because you can just magically make anything that you need appear, and so in fact, that's what happens to most graduates in the books. Right, they just kind of go and live, and they're pointless. They just don't have no direction in life until something comes along. And so they had to, of course, change that because that does not make for good TV. When you have like 3 episodes of them lying around going, "What are we going to do today? I don't know. What are we?" They have to make it a little bit more, and they've done a really good job kind of pushing them into it. And
I was really surprised how dark this was from the underlying tones of kind of the addiction aspect, the child molestation. There's just a lot of really dark, icky things that they're exploring in a sense that that it's bad, and obviously all these things are really bad, but they do it in such a really well done way that it doesn't make the show too dark either. And so I don't know, it's this weird balance where you feel icky afterwards, but you don't feel too icky where you just want to turn it off and you don't want to watch again. Yeah. So I don't know.
That sounds just like Watson's Match.com profile. So what do you think? It sounds icky and you may want to turn it off after a while, but I know Watson, it's TV, so I know the odds of you ever watching it are slim to none. But what about? Come on, give it a try.
Well, to be honest, on Match.com, I turn them off right away. Good point. No, so I've read 2 of the 3 books. I liked I liked the first one well enough. When Ryan sold it to me many, many years ago,
at a profit,
he sold it to me as Harry Potter meets Less Than Zero. Right. So, and that's like in the first half of the first book, really maybe the first 2/3 of the first book. That's what it was. And I really, really liked that. I really liked that construct. It was when it became Less Than Zero meets Narnia. Less Than Zero is a 80s drug movie. So this is the comments, and he doesn't have to interrupt me. She can just put it down in the little chat box. I didn't like the Narnia elements of it. And then the second book really doubled down on that fantasy world, right? I think the books could have been much more interesting. I understand why the TV series couldn't be that interesting, but just showing stoner, drug-addled magicians living in New York City after they graduated from Hogwarts, So the fact that the first season is just covering that actually appeals to me. I may actually check that out, right?
Okay.
And so it's when they get into Narnia that I'm like, okay, they're in a fantasy world. I mean,
There's some
that thing
weird
is
stuff going on.
interesting.
Though.
And they ended it at a very awkward moment, right? Because they only went into filler in the last couple of episodes, and in the book, like the first half of the first book is the school, and then it's a lot more of the fillery stuff, and so they didn't really capture as much of it for the TV show that they should have. But I mean, season 2 is obviously going to be all about that. But there's just good stuff. I'm excited. So.
Not interested.
No, I have a question.
Interested.
Tom Kelly, since you have not seen the show, but you've read all 3 books, you're the only one who has read book 3. Does the series conclude well? How would you rank the 3rd book as compared to the other 2?
I'd actually rank it pretty darn high. I thought it concluded very well. You actually can, if you can chart Quentin Coldwater's growth as a person from books. One earbud keeps popping out of my ear. This is not a good time. Okay.
Your ears are shrinking.
Okay. Now, the Coldwater character actually grows, so that by the time we get to book 3, and I fell out again. This is not good. Only when I'm actually talking is this a problem. Apparently. Okay. All right. So
Solution for that: let me talk more.
The character shows great growth and maturity by the time they're done. There's like a moment in every book where someone hauls off and tells Quentin what an asshole he is. I felt when I got to book 3, when it happens then, that was for the first time, that was not a good assessment of his character. That was just someone spouting off and being angry, and it out of my ear again. And that is what was my general opinion of book 3. He goes on this master quest, and he wraps up. That's what happens, and he performs great magic, and he actually comes to a place where he's satisfied with his life, because that's a lot of what the character. He was not satisfied with who he was, with what his life was. He expected magic to fix it, and he eventually realized over the course of 3 books, magic's not going to fix it, but he can use magic to do good things.
All right, so we've got a whole arc. I'm excited. I need to read that 3rd book. That maybe if I read books again, that would be a nice thing. But Jenny, speaking of reading books, what do you have to recommend for everyone?
Well, I've been so excited since the recent Star Wars just came out that I decided that I wanted to start reading some of the Star Wars comics. And so I'm recommending pretty much all of the Star Wars comics that just came out. Because, well, here's the thing. So I started off actually with the Star Wars version that you see here. It's just a regular version. And it's the story between right after they blew up the Death Star the first time and before the Empire, or what is it, before Empire Strikes Back. And so you get all of this kind of backstory of where did Luke go to try to continue on his education? How did he feel after Obi-Wan left? What was Darth Vader doing? What did Princess Leia and Han do? And the story by Aaron is unbelievable. They actually do such a good job that I'm hooked. I'm actually hooked in an old story arc. To that same effect, Shattered Empire is another really, really good one. And this kind of explores after, I think it's right after Empire Strikes Back.
No, Return. It's after Return.
Oh, it's after Return of the Jedi. Okay, thank you.
It overlaps with the end of Return of the Jedi in it.
That's right. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. You're right. It's right after they blew up the. Yeah. So, anyways, that's a whole nother story arc that kind of leads into what people are doing from a lone standpoint. You get new characters that are being introduced, which I think is really cool. You have Poe Dameron's parents that are being introduced, which will now lead me to the new Poe Dameron comic, which they have out, which is really cool. And so for those of you that want to continue on with the newer series and the newer characters, they have this one. And I actually haven't read this yet, so I can't speak to, because I just got it. I literally just bought this the other day. But because of Shattered Empire and because of everything that they're showing me with new characters, I said, why not pick up all of these guys. And then
Sure.
to kind of top it off, and I know that you'll agree, Ryan, is that I started picking up the Darth Vaders.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
so I have regular Vader, which is unbelievable, and then Vader Down, which
That's
is a
later.
whole nother. It's connecting this Star Wars, if you will. So Vader Down kind of like mixes in between Darth Vader and this version of Star Wars, which is written by Aaron.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, all of this to say that these are really, really, really good arcs to kind of connect the universe. And now I never read any of the canon books, so I can't speak to those. If you guys have read those, then it'd be nice to hear. But the comics alone are visually done very well and written eloquently, that it feels like Star Wars. It feels like I'm in the movie again, and that's the type of feeling I really wanted. I wanted to continue that oh my god, I love this universe, and they're doing a great job of doing that for me. So thumbs up for Star Wars. I really highly recommend you guys to check these out if you want to continue on with that universe too.
Yeah, I second all of that. What's nice, Shattered Empire is actually just a 4-issue series, so you can get it very quick in and out. The others are open ended. I'm not sure if Poe Dameron's gonna. We don't know how long that's gonna be. It didn't say, but of all of them, Darth Vader is absolutely mind blowing because it has some characters that were introduced to the Star Wars universe where they're so brilliant. You're like, why did we never see this before? And you will read that entire comic book just for these other characters. And I'm not going to say they are because it'll be really
Doc Alpha or Afra, Doc Afra.
Nope. Nope.
I like her. I like her.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So the other part of this too is that they introduce the other comics that are out. So like Princess Leia, for example. I didn't think I would like Princess Leia, only because I'm really in love with Rey, and I didn't know how Princess Leia's story was going to fold out. I really didn't. But I think they're doing a really good job with her too. I mean, a really good job of showing that she is a general, that she's a strong female, and that ultimately she owns what she's doing. Everything from her relationship choices to how she's dealing with the Empire. So I really like that as well.
Good stuff. Good timely stuff. And man, aren't we just? I mean, we're in a golden age of so much content, but especially with Star Wars content. I mean, it just doesn't get any better.
I wore my Millennium Falcon.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Sorry, that was weird. I wore my Millennium Falcon.
Ooh, we just got 50 cents. Congrats!
I need an adult.
All right, Tom Kelly, what do you have to recommend for everybody here?
Okay, well, about a year ago, the British author Terry Pratchett died, and I was surprised that.
Down, Tom Kelly. Don't lead with the death.
Is that about not interrupting people? Okay.
Look, a lot of people died on 7/11. Okay, I mean.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay,
please continue, Tom.
When he died, I was a little surprised that I was the only person in the Gabbing Geek stable of writers that had even heard of him. He was actually, a pretty well-known comedic fantasy writer, and so I started his big series was the Discworld series, and the Discworld series is set on a flat planet on the back of 4 elephants on the back of a giant turtle that is swimming through space.
Really?
It is said that the only creature in the universe that knows where it's going.
Wait, are you being
what
for
was
real?
That, Danny? Yes, that's for real.
That's so crazy.
It is crazy. That's why it's called the disc world. It's flat like a disc. Now the nice thing is when Mr. Pratchett, Sir Terry, as he's sometimes called, when he passed away, his daughter decided there would be no additional books written by new authors. So the 41 books he finished, and he wrote a good 70 books total, but the 41 Discworld books he finished will be all there is. And
41 books. You're like,
but we're drawing the line. We're stopping at 41 before we get too many.
And we complain about the Game of Thrones books. There's only 5, right? I mean
41.
You can probably fit a couple of the early novels very easily inside the pages of Game of Thrones. The thing is, you don't it's not like it's 41 books, one after the other. They're actually set up in a little mini series. So there's like a bunch of books featuring the city guards. There's a bunch of books featuring the wizards. There's a bunch of books featuring the witches. And you can just pick and choose. So you don't have to read all of them. If you like certain characters, you can only follow certain characters. And the only character that appears in almost every book, I found one he didn't while I've been rereading, is the Grim Reaper, Death, who mostly is just doing his job, and he is the hero in some books. In other books, he just had a little cameo to claim some poor lost soul that passed away during the course of the narrative. Pratchett wrote a few short stories, one of which has one of the city guards who act as the police force in their town. One was investigating a murder, and he knows exactly who to interrogate, and he figures out how to go talk to Death, and Death shows up to an old man's soul and says to him, "Sir, I believe you were a witness to the fact." And Death replies, "I was the fact."
Yeah.
Okay, that was a joke. Clearly, all right.
It delivered.
It's looming. It's looming. That's what it made me feel. It's looming. Like, oh God.
This is a world where most people are actually barely competent in what they do.
That's Watson's world.
Despite the fact that Pratchett kind of picked up the reputation of being like a fantasy version of Douglas Adams of the Hitchhiker series, he was writing more satire than straight comedy. So with the satire, it's usually poking fun at some aspect of real world culture and trying to maybe encourage people to do better. So there's lots of little real world parallels to things going on in the Discworld that there is in the real world.
All right, Tom.
I would generally
good recommend. Wait, but we have to know though, because you can't just recommend 41 books. So
you're right.
One. Which? And we're back on episode 61, part 2. As Tom was saying, there's a reason why Blab is in beta, and this was one of them. So, but I think we were ending up with Discworld 41 books. I think the whole concept of it kind of blew Blab's mind. Like Blab was like, "Whoa!" And
too many books.
Wish I had
too many books on the dance floor.
More than 2 thumbs down. Okay, that's where I'm going with this.
All right, so
you can read the 4th book. It's under 300 pages. It's actually pretty good. And by that point, the author had hit his stride with both the style for it and the humor. And if you're interested at all, he did co-write a book with Neil Gaiman. So,
okay, book 4. Watson, wake up! Time to recommend something.
Watson, it's your turn, damn it!
All right, I know I had something in the show notes. I'm going to call an audible.
Oh,
I thought of a different one.
Speaking of audible, no.
We don't have them anymore. They kicked us out.
Ian Tom's in the play. So I actually want to recommend, it's not terribly new, but it's kind of pressing because the sequel comes out this summer, allegedly. A great book that Mr. Ryan M. Garcia recommended to me back in roughly 2010, a book called The Rook by Daniel O'Malley.
Oh my God, I just bought that on Amazon.
What?
Did you really?
Yes.
That's Ryan and I have been recommending that for years. Ryan recommended it.
I took that recommendation.
Watch this. I mean, we read this like we back when we worked on a row of people, or I did. Ryan,
you were working on a row of people. I just worked amongst people.
I'm still working on a row of.
He has a row lined up.
We got everybody on that row to read this book.
Why'd you give him
mother
11?
read this book and loved it. Nobody I've ever met that's read this book hasn't loved it. It is fantastic. So let me kind of give you the high premise, and then Ryan, you can jump in.
Wait, don't tell me anything because I just ordered it. Okay, all right.
So, I'll give you the premise, like the back of the book sort of description.
Okay,
Jenny.
yeah.
So, a good female character, very strong female character, Jenny, awakes in a field with no memory, and she's surrounded by latex gloves, much like many of my dates. And she has a letter to herself explaining that someone has tried to murder her, and she doesn't know who it is, but she needs to solve it. The problem is she now has total amnesia.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a mystery of her essentially trying to solve the murder of herself. Now, what makes this more complicated is she's one of the chiefs at the head of a British intelligence agency called Checkway. Is that how we pronounce it, Ryan?
Exchequer?
No, it's not Exchequer. It's Check-E-Y.
It's
right?
tough because it's British.
But Exchequer is like that's essentially the treasury. This is like essentially a chessboard sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
The difference is that these people are not like MI6 from James Bond. They have superpowers, right? I mean, and they fight monsters. That's what their remit is to keep all of the horrible, horrible things that happen in the world under wraps.
Okay.
And they do a good job of it. There's an American agency they allude to from time to time. There's a bad guy
Shield?
Organization that they've always been involved.
The powers are more psychic in nature than outright superpowers, Jenny.
Yeah, it's really more horror, sort of supernatural, right? So her power is she can kind of control bodies by touch, right? Other people, it's really more minor powers than like Superman sort of things, right? So she basically, here's what Jenny will love, right? Before she was killed, she was this mousy administrator. She never used her power. She wasn't a field operative. She was there because she was good at bookkeeping and operational excellence. She was essentially the Six Sigma of the super spy organization. But Jenny, after she faces death and doesn't know who she is, she decides she wants to be a badass super spy. And she becomes this really cool character and confident and all of that. The sequel Stiletto comes out. I've already pre-ordered it. Ryan thinks
Stiletto?
I'm giving fools money because this has been kind of talked about for a long time as a 11, right, Ryan? In the early 2011s when
it's been a long time. I
remember you complained about it, Ryan. Like they had no sequel for the longest time.
And I think this was an excellent book. This was really, really a strong book. Like I said, I think it's very approachable for geeks and non-geeks alike, because the geeky stuff is more horror, and it's really just a murder mystery spy movie. Spy book. And it's going to be, they have to make a movie with Angelina Jolie. They just have to. Although she's getting a little long in the tooth.
They did that. It's called Salt.
Yeah, that was a good movie, actually.
No, actually, it was.
But Jenny, I'm glad you bought this. You need to read it. It's fantastic.
Cool.
The sequel's coming out this summer. It's going to be my beach blanket bingo book of the summer. And I'm really excited. Ryan,
do you know who I do not want to see Angelina Jolie in the movie? Do you know who I want to see in the lead? Amy Adams. Amy Adams would kick all kinds because it would be a nice.
Why not a British actress?
Well, she does a British accent.
Emily Blunt.
I saw American Hustle.
You guys are all like, oh, Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Jenny won.
Thank you.
Emily Blunt. She would be really good.
I know my
really good
douchebag.
that way.
Perhaps a little side of Felicity Jones if Emily Blunt is busy.
Ooh. Or Daisy Ridley. Too young.
Who? You dropped out.
He didn't name anybody.
Daisy Ridley.
Oh, no.
I think she's busy.
She's busy.
Yeah,
Too young.
she's got some stuff going on.
Emily Blunt.
Or, I called it.
Okay. All right. Well, those are some good recommendations. Well, hey, what a fantastic episode. So good we had to split it into 2 different blab sessions. But we covered some interesting stuff. Well, Jenny, why don't you tell people how they can reach you on the social medias?
Hey, go to Twitter, Jenny_Newman.
Mr. Watson.
Go to my Match.com profile. You know where it is.
Just search for Weird and Working on a Row of People. Mr. Tom Kelly.
Tag any article at gabbinggeek.com written by Tom K74.
It's too true, which is approximately 99.8% of every article on gabbinggeek.com. But hey, Watson has unplugged. Now's the time where we start really talking about it.
That's why you couldn't hear me. I was unplugged the whole time.
Wow. It's magic. It's magic. Well, let's find out. Yeah. And you can reach me at Some Geek Lawyer. You can reach all of us at Gabbing Geeks, or you can email us at gabbinggeek@gmail.com or come to gabbinggeek.com. You already know all this. If you've actually reached the end of this episode, you're still listening, which is just Jimmy at this point. Let's be honest. Maybe Phil, maybe James. Hey, what's up? Oh, Greg. Hey, Greg, wherever you are. Hey, fantastic episode 61, both parts 1 and part 2. Let's find out what we learned today, though. First, we learned that no one really needs 4 more avatars.
No, we don't.
We'll see 1. We don't need 4. We also found out that, you know what's good for science fiction? A little furry action. Just a little.
Just a tiny bit. Fox is preferable.
That's right. And finally, and I think most importantly, we learned that Jenny knows her douchebags. So,
Hi, Jenny. One of them.
Important lesson. Well, a fantastic episode for episode 61. Be sure to come back and join us for episode 62. But until then, that's those of us here at Gabbing Geek reminding you, teach me.
Teach me.